Greetings and welcome to How We Do Digital Ministry podcast. I'm Christopher Harris, founder of Faith Growth. You can find us at faithgrowth.com, where we help our church clients build their digital presence and engage with their communities online. On this podcast, we have a conversation with a church leader and ask them to share how they do digital ministry in their communities. Today, I am talking with Pastor Angela Shannon, the pastor of All Saints Lutheran Church in Bowie, Maryland. Pastor Angie, thank you for being here, and please introduce yourself and tell us how you do digital ministry.
Hi, everybody. I am Pastor Angela Shannon, and as Christopher said, Chris, I am the pastor of All Saints Lutheran Church in Bowie, Maryland, but I like to add where the all really means all, no encoded language, no yes, buts or if-thens. All really means all, because that can be some, language that really doesn't mean all, but we absolutely mean all are welcome. And with that broad and extravagant welcome, we do digital ministry in a variety of ways. We have worship online, and we're looking to do hybrid worship and experimenting in all kinds of ways. I have encouraged our digital team. We actually have a digital strategy team, which amazes me, because I call it the great ejection. The great ejection from our buildings happened on March 8th. And everybody was scrambling like, what now? And we had these folks that were just there. So I encourage people to look at who is present in the congregation. You may have jewels and gems just waiting to be tapped. People like to be asked. Some folks will have all these wonderful gifts, and you don't know unless you ask. And the answer is always no unless you ask. So.
Well, one of the reasons that I was excited to have you on the podcast is, we've known each other for a few years now, from when you had a call in Dallas where I'm at. And, you were, even before COVID, you were an adopter of digital as a way to do ministry. And so tell me a little bit about, even before COVID, where did you see the promise? Why were you one early? Why did you really want to embrace this technology? And how did you see that it was going to help you in your ministry to share God's love?
Well, in my first call, you all remember those desktops where the monitor was as big as a 26-inch Pullman. And I always used computers, but when I got to my first congregation, I met a member of the church who was using her computer in all kinds of innovative ways, So I was ordained in 97, and I was curious, but I'm one of those end of the tail boomers. And so I see myself as a bridge person, though, but in the tail end of the boomers. And boomers tend to, and it's a sweeping generalization, so it will work for some and not for others, tend to worry about breaking things.
Yeah.
And so my church member said to me, listen here, Pastor, you don't know enough to break it. And if you paint yourself in a corner, just call me and I'll walk you out of it. And when I heard that I couldn't break it, it was on. Then I wanted to figure out how I could break it. And then what are the possibilities? So I guess my personality makeup, I like gadgets.
Yeah.
and then I want to see how the gadget works. And so, yeah, and here was a big gadget. So I just like the idea of how you move things forward, um, because the church has to be where people are.
Yes.
And right now,
Yeah.
they are in digital space. And they were in digital space pre-COVID,
That's right.
and I love the ministry of evangelism, but I'm going to change the name. Let's see, what did I was washing clothes the other day. Um, ah, how's this for evangelism? Because people get scared of the word
Yeah.
digital engagement.
I,
Because we're going to have to figure out how to, and it's not just evangelism. We're going to have to figure out how to engage everybody in this new reality. And it's not just let's go out and get some people. No, but it's how do we engage everyone? So I think engagement is going to be the key as we move forward. Now, what was the question? Because I can just run down a rabbit hole.
well,
Anyway.
the question was, more you embraced it early, and where did you see the potential, and how is it, but I think you gave a good answer.
But even with the websites, back in the day, we used to knock on doors, leave a little, a trinket or souvenir, and have conversation. You better not knock on people's doors. They're looking at you like, who are you and why are you here? Yes. And you have to have a top level, and it doesn't have to be expensive. You have to have a good website, because that's how they knock on doors these days. If somebody is interested in coming to your church, they're coming to your website first. And if you're sitting up there and all these blinking colors and music, that person will say, I've seen all I need to know about this place, and they go and find another website.
Exactly. We don't want to scare them away. Yeah.
I've seen some scary websites in my life in time, but yeah, so we would greatly benefit from being resilient and flexible and willing to make mistakes and find out what doesn't work.
Well, see, that's where I think the advice that your member with the computer gave you back at your first church is like the best advice for all of digital ministry. You can't break it. You just need to try. I mean, I've been using tech all of my life, and I have only broke something once to the point that I couldn't figure it out, and you're right. People get scared that they're going to break it, so they don't even try. I need to understand it everywhere. I need to understand it 100% before I can do anything. And go ahead.
This is what I tell people who are afraid. I ask them, I said, how'd you get here? Oh, we drove. I said, you drove a car, right? Okay. Rode a bike, whatever. I said, can you fix a car? No. I said, so I said, people out here who don't know how to change a tire and they're driving cars. Yes. Just because you can't fix it doesn't mean you can't use it. You don't have to know you don't have to be a mechanic to drive a car. So you don't have to code to know how to use laptops and all the technology that's available to us.
I love that's so true. So tell me, in all your years, either in this past year, because the church, came online. Well, truly, the church got caught up to about 10 years ago, where the internet was 10 years ago. We've caught up to about 2011 or so. But in this last year, or even before that, what is one of your favorite ministry stories or example of Christian community that you've seen in the digital space?
Well, now it's back in the day, but it is not in terms of years, because years
Yeah.
get compressed with the technology because it changes. Do you remember Church Sockham, Church Social
Yes,
Media?
I do. Yes, just
Yes,
welcome.
yes.
Yes.
So, and at that time, people were arguing in other spaces. Um, what is real community? Digital community isn't real community, and it's like, yeah, it is. I have dear friends now, and we've been dear friends for a decade now, who I've never met in real time. you know so what constitutes um community was the big buzzword back in the day. And now it's not even a question. you know um Online digital community is real community.
Yes.
And online digital virtual church is real church. It's
Yes.
just that our theologians have to catch up with that, you know.
Yeah, they just haven't experienced. Haven't experienced it yet, but it is. For those of
It
us that
is.
experienced it, it's like it is. It's real.
It's
That is
it's
true.
it's very real. And then you have friends who um, are all over the world, and so this community is grounded and very real. And church community surrounds itself, not surrounds itself, comes around Christ Jesus. So
Hmm.
how real can you get? I mean, we're studying the First John, or some of the country folks say, 'cause I come from country folks say, I John, and
I like that.
and,
I haven't thought of that.
and
But yeah.
yeah, and I John. The question is asked: how can you love a God whom you cannot see?
Mhm.
Hmm. Is God virtual? I'm just asking. So it's a lot to wrap our minds around, but the good news is that we don't have to get it, kind of like driving that car.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, just you can experience it without knowing how to fix it. I like that. Yeah, like you know how to
Mhm.
hop in and drive. You know how to get to
That's
A to B.
right.
You know how to
And
get
you
to
know how
A.
to take your
Yeah.
car to get the oil change.
Mhm.
There are people who could do this.
Yeah,
Like, you with faith growth.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's true. We kind of do a lot of that. Yes, we do. And no, I like that. So real community, and this you don't have to necessarily understand it to participate. That does remind me, thinking about the old days of Chisocum, excuse me, on Twitter, is like that's used to be how I was like, I really can't explain Twitter. All I can tell you is you just got to jump in and experience it and start swimming in the stream, and you'll figure it out. And that is with a lot of tech. We have to try. There is community and there's things going on there, and we kind of have to show up, and we'll kind of figure it out. And so
Mhm.
there is that kind of step of faith, I guess, in a sense. I mean, well, to me, it sounds a lot like, as somebody who's real comfortable in online space, to me, kind of the analogy is sometimes me showing up in a physical church building is just as scary as it probably is for some people that are not as tech savvy to actually go
Ex-
online.
exactly. Exactly. So then when you drill down, it's relationship. When someone says, well, come on to church, I'll be there to meet you. Or tell you what, let me get on my computer and walk you through, you know. So at the base of all of this, we find relationships.
Yes, and I love that, because that's really, to me, that's what really is the key thing, is like, yeah, I keep doing this because of the relationships, how it's enriched my life, and how I've
Hmm.
experienced God online. um, and that's what really excites me about the church getting online, is because like I finally feel like in the last year the church has kind of come and is now a part of the space that means so much to me, that has been the biggest part of my life and my work. And it's like, oh, hey, y'all are coming in here. This is awesome. I'm glad to have you.
Exactly, you know. And there are faithful spaces out here online. And again, it was because someone said, have you checked out so and so? And it's like, no, let me check it out. And it's been wonderful. With regard to how we worship now, we had 2 services. And you know how multiple services are. They are really multiple congregations. But people are now in my church interacting with folks that they have never had the opportunity to interact with in Bible study, in Sunday school, because all of this is online, and in church itself. So there have been some really good outcomes that have surprised my folks at church, and they're grateful for them.
That's good. Yeah, because I mean, even, you know, a lot of the church has always been come to us, but even when we say come to us, we still manage to create separations. And now we're seeing, you know, I know of some pastors that have received new members that have never set foot in the building because they participated online. Yet, so y'all have new members from that. I'm even attending a church in another city right now, and I'm really loving it. But it's all because of online.
And I get to worship, you know, after my worship service, and we even have fellowship hour, you know. After I go and I just kind of look at other services and get a word as well, because it was difficult to do that pre-pandemic. There was some services here and there, because the truth of the matter is this. And us mainliners don't like to hear it, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Go ahead.
My fundamentalist friends, the only thing that is fundamental about them is their theology that they profess. But they have been in these spaces for the better part of 20, 25 years. So when I think about the great ejection that happened on March 8th, that was the last time we were in our service as a corporate body. They've been out here in digital space for years.
Yes.
Their technology game is, you know, just on point, and it always has been. So we can take a page from our family, who are fundamentalists. That's all I need to take, though.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I agree with that, because that's one of the things that I really hope that I think Faith Growth exists for is specifically to help the more mainline and the progressive churches catch up, and hopefully maybe one day surpass, but at least catch up to where what we can learn from the rest of the church. Because we're, you know, I don't understand why so many of us, I don't know, when it comes to technology, I felt like pre-COVID I felt like it's just been a lot of navel gazing from many of our churches.
Well, it was about change, and it's not just, you know, change in and of itself, but we invest a whole lot of ourselves in what's important to us, which is worship, you know. Even if people leave the church and stay away from for years, they come back expecting it to be the same way, you know. Just last week, someone called the church asking for my predecessor, having been estranged from the church for a long time. And it's like, he retired. What? You mean he's gone? You know? So people invest. It's more than resisting change. There's an emotional attachment and an investment there. So yeah, but even still, if you want that gold standard, everybody, and we talked about this pre-show, everybody wants, well, we need more young people. And I'm always like, why? And they're looking at me, well, you, like as if this like, Pastor, have you lost it? But I ask why, because it's been my experience that we need more young people so we can ogle them. Isn't that creepy? Just to look at them and not really incorporate them in the life and leadership of the church. I'm happy to say that my church has and will continue to incorporate all people into the life of the church. And we do have some folks who are under 35 on the council. So anyway,
I've met one of your under 35 leaders, and he's very strong and a very good. I mean, I'm sure he does great things for y'all, and it's good that y'all have him on board.
But yeah, if you're gonna have young people, see, you can't say we don't want technology, but we want young people. They're not coming. They might come that first time and eat your brownies and your lemon bars and never be seen again. And those lemon bars are good too, by the way. But
it might give them a nice nostalgic feeling from like their grandma or something, but they probably won't be back.
Right, they won't. And because this is the trajectory of the church. Even as we talk about what hybrid worship is going to look like going forward, we're changing our language around that, because you hear people talking about, well, when we go back, I said, no, we're not going back. There will be a return.
Yes.
Because all of us have been changed by this experience. You see me looking like, was it the first Star Trek with Persis Kambata? Yeah, she had a shorn head. We have been impacted. We have gained and we have lost things in this pandemic. Me, I lost my hair. No, for real, I did.
Yeah.
It brought forth a medical condition, and so I have no hair. But the good thing is I got a nice head. It's not, if you check it out, it's nice. It's not
good shape.
It's got, it doesn't have the texture of a jackfruit, nor is it long like the alien. So you just celebrate what you got here.
Yes.
But yes, we will return, and we will return wiser. We will return more grounded, because we have learned how to trust God in ways in which we never had to trust.
Yes.
One of my mentors, Sister Mary Lou Jones, a Benedictine nun, she says this pandemic will teach us things that we could have learned no other way. This pandemic will teach us things that we could have learned no other way. And she's right.
Well, it kind of goes back to part of our pre-recording conversation we were talking about, that God may not have brought this pandemic, but God definitely is finding redemption in it, and that's kind of where it is, like, hey, the church in some ways is being redeemed and heading in new directions, a direct result of this, and that's exciting, even though the pandemic's been kind of been hell.
The pandemic, it literally has been. We've lost loved ones. We've lost so much, but we've learned some things. I won't say that those things are, the counterbalance. I mean, I lost a couple friends and a favorite uncle due to COVID-19. By the way, I'm going to put in my plug. if you're able, get vaccinated if you
Yes.
are able, because there's some, for some, the vaccination is contraindicated. But if you are able, please, um,
Yes. Yes.
please do that. Um, it's basic. We teach in confirmation class that our response is to serve and love God and the neighbor to grace.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah. Well, no, I love that. And I think we're going to end there because we are just about out of time. This has been a fabulous.
Really? This
I know. We could go another hour.
Easily.
And I think we're going to have you back on the podcast at another time, because this was a phenomenal conversation, but I think it was also just the start of a conversation. And so we'll have to make plans to have you back in a few months, and we can keep the
we'll be
conversation
glad
going.
to come back, because Chris, I used to kind of pester you a little bit about what you knew technologically. So I'm still ready to continue.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, once again, thank you for being a guest on How We Do Digital Ministry. I'd like to invite all of our listeners to make sure that they subscribe on YouTube. If they're on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, or if they're listening via podcast, make sure that they subscribe on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Pastor Angela, tell our listeners how they can find and follow you online.
Well, there's our website, All Saints, allsaintsbowie.org. On Sundays, you can check us out. We broadcast to Facebook, and I love to say this. This is what cracks my younger friends up. The YouTube.
Yeah.
You can check out the YouTube, and the handles All Saints Bowie, or All Saints Lutheran Church Bowie. Again, you can contact me through our website. My Facebook is Pastor Angela and Shannon. So you can find me there as well, and other social media outlets as well. But I do something called the Weather Report. You can find me fussing on the Weather Report.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I saw the weather report last week, which is actually kind of sad, but we'll talk about that offline.
Right.
Okay, we'll list, so we'll put links to all the sites that Pastor Angie just mentioned in the show notes. Once again, thank you for listening today. We would like to connect with all of our listeners in other ways as well. We have a private Facebook group named How We Do Digital Ministry. The link will be in the show notes. We invite you to come join us to keep the conversation going in between episodes. All right, peace and blessings to all of you. We'll see you next week.